Click. I apologize if it doesn't seem like I'm paying too much attention to the plot of Book 1. Unfortunately, it's just not all that interesting. But once we get to Book 2, which is only, I'd say, about 16 chapters away, not counting this one, things are gonna get a lot more interesting, and I'm just gonna say this right now. Book 2 of Fire Emblem 3 is probably, like, well, in my opinion at least, it's one of the best stories that Fire Emblem's ever told. There's gonna be a lot of political, moral, and emotional turmoil, and I kind of feel like it makes me think, you know? Like, as I go through the game, I just think about a lot of things, and I like doing that. So anyway, let's not worry about the future. Sooner or later, it's the past. Oh, damn, Meatloaf reference. Or Jim Steinman reference. Anyway, so in this chapter, we are about to reach our destination that we wanted to go to since chapter 1, Orleans, which is not too far away from Akania, which is the Holy Kingdom and whatnot. And this guy is Hardin, and he's gonna be helping us out, because he's, well, firstly, he's getting his butt kicked right now, because the Macedonians are taking over this area, and he kind of has to defend it so that this princess right here can be safe, and she's kind of like the only remaining royal family member of Akania, so she's kind of important. Now, the rest of the dudes that just came with him, I'm just gonna point this out right now. Throughout all of Book 1, not a single one of them gets a piece of dialogue unless they die. That should give you an idea of how important they are to the plot. Actually, it also signifies how important they are stat-wise, too, because they're all kind of terrible. Anyway, this chapter, what do I say about it? I have no idea. Like, it's a lot of open space. There are forts to the left. I don't even know if things come out of them. I thought they did throughout this chapter. I thought they were going to be Pegasus Riders, but then I guess that's exclusive to Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon in the harder difficulties. Because that shit was super difficult. But yeah, my strategy for this chapter is, 1, the left thief right there, he has a silver sword. We gotta nab that. Of course, it's not that difficult to nab, because the path of the thieves is to go, like, from what I can tell, it's to go over the bridges. And from there, I don't know, because I've never let them get much further than that. They're really easy to kill and catch. Like, there's just... the enemies are just not threatening enough for me to, like, second guess attacking them for any reason. This is also probably the only chapter in the game, I'm not sure, but probably the only chapter in the game where you have to fight enemy Pegasus Riders, and they are pretty pathetic. I have a tendency to overestimate them in this game, though, because Shadow Dragon turns them into fucking beasts. Oh, check this guy out. He's calling me a kid, even though in Japan, 16 is the age of consent. So, this guy's a condescending old man. He's not even old. Speaking of which, talk about that outdated hairdo and his protruding nose. So yeah, he's talking about dragon dudes that can turn into dragons. And he's just like, oh, it's weird. Also, here's this red gem right after I was talking about dragons. I wonder what it could be used for. Damn it, stop calling me a kid. Sorry. Firestone. Anyway. So yeah. This is going to be the last next chapter. Sheeta's not going to be able to use that silver lance, but we'll get into that later. So, now that I've run out of stuff to say, because once we get past this first initial group of enemies on both sides, nothing else really happens in the chapter. The thieves are really easy to get, as I mentioned, and though there is a certain dude in the top village that I should talk about. Oh, and there's Mattis. That guy is a fucking asshole. Not so much now, but in Book 2, he is single-handedly the only character in the entire Fire Emblem series that I am willing to let die instead of recruit. Because recruiting him is the most tedious fucking bullshit I've ever seen in the entire series. Now, for right now, he's actually a pretty easy character to recruit. Whether he's worth it or not is... well, he's not worth it. There you go. But I'm gonna recruit him anyway, because might as well. He's pretty easy to recruit. You just need to bait him out and get Ren on his ass. Tell him, boy, what are you doing on the enemy side? And he's just like, ah, yeah, they scared me. Anyway, this Pegasus Rider here was pretty interesting to deal with. Because, like, you kind of, like, when a flying unit's on a mountain, you pretty much can't do anything about them. And if they are closing in on you, along with other enemy units, you pretty much have to accept that you're going to take damage. But it's scary, because you don't know which unit's going to get attacked. So, keeping your dudes high in health is highly recommended. Thankfully, well, actually, you know what? That's not even thankfully, but yeah, Pegasus Rider attacked that dude. Anyway, I think I've run out of shit to talk about with this chapter, so let's get on to my notes. So here's a little plot twist for ya. In Fire Emblem 1 and in Fire Emblem 11, Shadow Dragon, this is actually Chapter 5. But in this game, since they removed the original Chapter 4, this one kind of fills that spot. They don't, like, replace it or anything, it's gone. Now, with this in mind, in the original Chapter 4, you recruited Merik, who's this mage guy. And they had to figure out how to put him back in the game. You know, since his chapter where you recruit him is gone. That's where this top village is for. He's gonna pop up, be all like, hey, yo, what's up, Marth? Marth's gonna be like, whoa, dude, your costume is fucking awesome. Because, like, if you look at Merik, he is probably the most overdressed mage I have ever seen. Not only does he have, like, a big-ass fucking robe, but he's got this like, bishop hat thing going on, and it goes, like, it's 5 feet into the heavens. It's hilarious to look at, but he also looks awesome. So, it's, like, awesome. I don't know. So, anyway. There is a unit that you're normally supposed to get in this chapter in Fire Emblem 1 and in Shadow Dragon, but they actually moved him to the next chapter for some reason. I'm guessing that because they already had 2 villages, they didn't want to add a 3rd one because that's more busy work for Marth and you, so they just put him in the next chapter, kind of just hanging out in a jail cell. Now for some fun facts. So, while I was going through this chapter, I was reminded that staves are actually considered an item in this game. Amazing. Anyway. So, let's see. Oh, there's Merik, by the way. Look at his face. He's just got this, like, face of confidence. I would invite this guy to a party, just so he could teach me how to, like, pick up girls. You know, he seems like the type. Though, then again, with that costume, he'd probably be a more effective wingman than anything. Oh, goddamn, that costume. So, let's see, what else do I have on here? So, throughout this chapter, you might notice me going through it more cautiously than normal. Oh wait, I already mentioned that. Basically, it's the whole Mattis thing, recruiting him, and the whole me thinking that Pegasus Riders are going to show up on those forts and ambush spawn you. Because, yes, in this game, ambush spawns are prominent. I believe that Fire Emblem 7 is the first game to not use ambush spawns. You just got normal reinforcements that show up on player phase. So, there's that. I also mentioned the thief with the silver sword. Oh, actually, you know what? Here's something. In the original Chapter 4 of Shadow Dragon and Fire Emblem 1, that thief that drops the silver weapon, instead of the game doing that, it would just give you it at the end of Chapter 4. But since Chapter 4 no longer exists, they gave it to that thief, and I guess that's to kind of compensate for shit. But in Shadow Dragon, instead of the silver sword being a silver sword, it's a silver lance. This is completely interesting information. Man, Fire Emblem 3 Book 1 really is just not interesting to talk about. Oh, it really is like, I mean, it's pretty fun to play. It's just none of the level design is particularly complex. And the thing is that it could have been. Because, well, like, it just feels like they didn't put too much thought into, like, making the chapters more involved. And it's not, like, even with the limited mechanics of the game and the limited AI and whatnot, I felt like the designers could have set up more complex situations. Like, maybe you got this one dude who's in trouble, and he's defending himself from all these other dudes that you gotta save him. Oh, and by the way, there's Mattis again. Wait a minute. That idea I just suggested is in this chapter, technically. Because you got those 5 horsemen just kind of defending themselves. But, like, it's the problem is that it's so damn easy, it might as well not be, like, an idea. You know? I don't know. I'm struggling to fill in 14 minutes for you. What can I tell you? Oh, okay, so here's something. Let's talk about all of our units, because you might have noticed I have not talked about Rena or Navarre or Ogma all that much. So let's get down to that, shall we? So, at the beginning of Chapter 2, we got 3 Axemen. Maji, Saji, and Bartz. Bartz is good. Use him. Unfortunately, axes kind of suck in this game, so, I mean, he'll be good throughout the entire game, but not as good as he could have been if he had a better weapon. Saji and Maji are basically Bartz, but with lower base stats and less growth rates. They're different from each other in terms of, like, what they excel in, but not much to really say about them, and they're not really worth trading up because Bartz is just so much better. I already talked about Ogma, so now let's talk about Chapter 3. So, you get the Thief Julian, who is surprisingly a good fighter in this game. I mean, his stats don't really indicate such, but because he has such a high speed, he can pretty much use Steel Swords to double most of the enemies in the game. And Steel Swords actually deal a decent amount of damage, so you can just kind of use him for attacking, and he actually has really good growth rates too. I think he has like a 50 defense growth, which is crazy considering he's a thief. You'd think they'd give that to friggin' Dogo over here, who I think has a 20% defense growth. But then again, he's already got plenty of defense as it is. Rena is our healer dude, well, chick, and she starts with Warp Staff, and here's a little fun fact about Warp Staffs. They can warp a unit anywhere on the map, unless it's like something they can't normally traverse on. And you can use this to warp skip chapters or to trivialize challenges, and in the next chapter I will be using the Warp Staff to trivialize such a challenge, or rather, to make a certain part of the challenge possible. But yeah, she's good. You're gonna quickly get a pre-promoted Sage that's pretty much better than her, but I'm gonna use her anyway because, I don't know, I'm conditioned by newer Fire Emblem games to use unpromoted units to take advantage of their growth rates, you know? Even though that's not necessarily good practice. If Don 151 has indicated anything, most of the rules that we believe to be true in Fire Emblem can easily be either disobeyed or flat out dismissed as untrue. So yeah, this guy's completely unnoteworthy. He's the first knight of the game, and since you get Merik in this chapter, I guess the game's teaching you, hey, this guy's a fucking pain in the ass with physical weapons. Use the magic. So there you go, good game design right there. You also get an Armor Slayer, so the game teaches you, oh shit, things like this exist, and you can make armors easy to deal with. So again, in Chapter 3, we also get Navarre, who's that, you know, mercenary dude. He's good. He's got good growth rates. He's got better growth rates than Ogma. His base stats are just worse. And he starts with a killer sword, so that's nice. I mean, it doesn't really matter which one you train, honestly, because they're both gonna end up great. But if you're gonna choose one, choose Ogma. Unless you just want slightly higher stats in the late game, then use Navarre. So, for this chapter, most of the units you get that aren't really noteworthy except Merik, who's really good. He starts with the Excalibur Tome, which has a 30 crit rate, and He's really fast, really powerful. Like, there's nothing wrong with him. And he also has a strangely high HP growth, so he's actually quite durable. The only other unit worth mentioning is Hardin, who is the Cavalier guy with the turban. He's awesome. He also shows up in Book 2 in a less happy situation. Those of you who know what goes on will very much know what I'm talking about. But yeah, the rest of the dudes, Zagaro, Wolf, Plainface, and Roshia are completely run-of-the-mill Cavaliers. Don't bother using them.